Hello, everybody. Good evening. So, today's exciting quote unquote topic, and we're going to talk about ghosting, some common things. It's this new term. I believe it's a relatively new term, and also about ghosting in when you are in international relationships. Of course, on my channel, we talk a lot about Ukraine, we talk a lot about other countries, but really, I think it's a universal term and a universal topic right now because um, ghosting becoming more and more popular, and people looking for more and more help to help them to go through that. Obviously, it's not a very pleasant experience. I think if you're out there dating right now in the modern world, you probably have been ghosted at least once or twice, and it doesn't matter how attractive you are or how it doesn't tell anything negative about you, although many people think that it is. But honestly, ghosting have less to do with you than with quality of the people that you meet. And this is one of the reasons I would like to make this video, because I'm getting you letters and a lot of people struggling with just processing this whole ghosting thing. They don't know whether to wait to hear from the person again or what is happening, right? Meanwhile, good evening, everybody. I I feel like a ghost myself from this light, so maybe I supposed to have this effect. Hey, John. Hey, everyone. Um, so number one, and then this is truly international and universal thing. If you had been seeing somebody for a certain period of time that had required building trust, if you've been with somebody that you had built that rapport, which is trust basically, and you start to go into the stage where things are pretty much on a roll and you planning something, you starting something new, and all of a sudden, you know, you would describe it that it came out of the blue. But things are never out of the blue, as we know, right? And a lot of times, what happens is um, we meet people who do not know how to deal with their own emotions. Um, some things had changed. Maybe the way they felt about us changed, which is okay. Maybe circumstances had changed. Things can go right or wrong anytime. We all know that um, we are not guaranteed a perfect connection and perfect circumstances. But what differentiates people who ghost you is that, to me, honestly, that's just a lack of decency and lack of and these are people who have uh, problem processing their own emotions, so they cannot help you to take care of you and how you feel, because they have huge problem processing their own emotions. They need help, and instead of just telling you that, hey, I won't be available, I'm sorry, something had changed, I met somebody new, I'm not interested, I don't like you anymore, whatever. Instead of dealing with all that and having to explain, it's a lot easier for them to just disappear. And this experience could be so traumatic. I really wish people would level up the standards for themselves and just don't do that. sometimes they feel overwhelmed once again to tell that news, because they feel if they would tell that news that it will hurt somebody so much. But to be honest, when you doing that to person, it hurts them a lot more. And another thing, people are more okay with you not being a part of their life than you think, right? I don't know if you guys anybody in the chat, if you agree with that. Sometimes we feel if we say no to somebody, it's going to be such a big huge deal and people are going to be so upset. But I tell you what, very often when you say no to somebody, they really, they might be sad for a little bit, but they're going to move on. A lot of people, um, sometimes we put more, we evaluate ourselves very high. And so, once again, some of these people who ghost, they just do not want to deal with emotional things. They don't want to have conversations and they want to give so-called closure. They just wanted to kind of disappear, and so this way the person will understand that they had been ghosted. But a lot of times, once again, they feel, oh my gosh, it's going to be a big deal, and they're kind of embarrassed. And um, but really, if any ghosters are watching me, over you estimate yourself super high, because most people are going to be just fine if you tell them, even if they're into you, even if whatever, they're going to be fine if you tell them, hey, I'm out of this game, or I have new circumstances, or I'm not interested, or but unfortunately, being selfish, I feel that it's a big part of the culture, regardless what culture you are in: Russian, Ukrainian, American, Italian. And people just do that to each other. And once again, I want to hear what you guys got to say about this. Hey, oh my gosh, I did something. Oh, hey Mark, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Captain Rick Crawford, good evening, Veronica. Добрый вечер, Lance and John and everybody else. I know it's a bit unexpected, but that's how we roll here. We wait for perfect circumstances, there are gonna be no videos. So, okay, I'm gonna share a little bit more. So, I received a letter from a subscriber. Hey, Aaron, good to see you. Who was really, really hurt, and he have been um, he has been going through this for a while. And the problem was he kept blaming and reflecting to death on a circumstance. His relationship actually was uh, international. And one of the issues when you are dating overseas or you're dating abroad for your um, and ghosting had happened is happening very often, you don't even know that you are in the process of being dismissed without any explanation, because maybe you only talk once a week. Maybe there are certain circumstances that you're still waiting to hear from somebody. It's when you're dating locally, it's always very obvious that when somebody is avoiding you. When you dating internationally, sometimes it's a bit of an issue, and it might take you a while to realize that somebody actually had completely ghosted you. And sometimes you just to have to put yourself together, and instead of reflecting endlessly and becoming obsessive and crying and thinking why, sometimes you just have to accept that fact, and that even though it's painful, but it's really great that it happened. Really great, I don't know if that's great, but at least it happened before you engage in something deeper, stronger, and then it happens. This is the worst thing, when you, maybe you quit your job, maybe you made a visa to move to another country, maybe you, I don't know, expecting a child from somebody, and they like, well, I just decided it's not for me, except they don't tell you about it. I honestly think, without being judgmental, I really think it's a big weakness, because when you live with an open heart, when you have nothing to hide, if your feelings had changed, if your circumstance had changed, you have to have the guts to tell the person what's been going on, because you don't know how you can affect somebody. I'm sitting here and giving my insights and opinions, but there are some people that can take it to heart and they can harm themselves, and they can think that something is going on with you, something happened. I mean, with the person that ghosting, a lot of times, especially women, and guys, Ukrainian women in particular, they always imagine that you, like, maybe in a traffic, maybe there is a catastrophe, or your plane was crushed. I mean, it is a terrible feeling, especially when you build that trust, when you put those little bricks, building something together, and here it's, I mean, it's a shocker, and all kinds of thoughts are going to the person's head. So my point on this, if you respect yourself, you will tell another person that you're out of the game. Regardless of circumstances, you will tell the person that you so happen that you have to be out. But that called respect to yourself and respect to the other person. Definitely, when you got somebody who stood you up and who goes to you like that, you're definitely dealing with somebody who does not respect you. And um, all these excuses, you got to get real with yourself, and stop making excuses. And we're all guilty of this. When you have a good heart, you always try to see, well, maybe it's an exception, maybe somebody's in the hospital, he's having a crisis of work, um, maybe there is some family emergency, and these things actually can take place because we all live in, uh, sometimes unexpected stuff happens. But to let somebody know that you won't be available, it only takes like literally 5 seconds to just say, hey, a lot going on, I'll be back in a few days, I need to process. um, I think it also goes back to the way our parents raised us. Did they put good values? I just feel that the person that love and respect themselves, they will never treat the other person less, with less respect than they treat themselves. A lot of people also like to play hot and cold, and sometimes people ghost you also because they want to keep the door open. Maybe they met somebody better, or maybe they don't know what they want, or maybe they cannot provide you what you want, or maybe they are keeping you till something better shows up, so they do not tell you goodbye, so they can kind of come back when they feel like coming back. And um, you sit there, you be nervous, you worry, you be in pain, and then they're kind of like, hey, yeah, how are you, after 3 weeks of that. So you just have to be mindful that, once again, um, if you love yourself, you do not, you truly genuinely love yourself and respect yourself, you're comfortable with who you are, you do not treat another person differently and with less respect than you treat your own self. I don't care if they're higher than you in social status, lower than you, they speak your language. It's truly a universal topic, and unfortunately, it became so popular now together with another term, which is breadcrumbing, that is even worse, if you ask me. Um, so these, I believe that these things started to be more popular with having all this online dating, online platform, because it seems like for some, especially I believe for younger people, um, that relationships are becoming disposable. So, even if you had sex with somebody, even if you dated for a couple months, sometimes people just like, you know what, that's not that great. Boom, I'm out of it. So that's just, our reality. It's just something we'll have to deal with. I feel that, the more mature people and older people, when they date, they were just raised in a different era, and probably most of people would not be comfortable with doing it to somebody. I feel like people that grew, were raised in a different generation than people who are now in the 20s and 30s. um, they have more respect, and they have, um, overall, the guts to just tell the truth and move on and just be respectful. So let's see what you guys saying. I saw some I agree messages, which is always nice. Nice to know that we have some common ideas we agree on. Thank you, Lance. Yesha. Yeah, you gotta. Lance is saying, I like to be upfront and honest, and sometimes it doesn't seem to be returned. You have no control about that. Lance is saying, I agree, there are times I feel like I'm being avoided. Well, if you feel like you're being avoided, it's up to you what you're gonna do with that. Um, I have a funny story to share. So I remember being about 19 years old, and I was just, having fun, going out like all young people do, right? And there was this one guy that been inviting me consistently to go out, and every time I see him, I would say no. There was something about him that I didn't feel that much trust. I don't even know how to put it. So, but finally, one of the days he took me out, and it was not far from where I lived. It was a very nice place, and we had a good conversation, but still, there was something weird. I cannot explain. It was something very strange. I just felt like I could not connect with him too close. So, we had the dinner, everything went well, and another thing, guys, women always know if they ever gonna be into you. I knew, I mean, it takes about 10 to 15 seconds to know if the other person ever you're gonna be attracted to or not. That is just, you can't push it, you can't force somebody. I just so you know, when women tell you they don't know, it means they don't want you. That's all it means. But anyway, going back to that um, episode. So, anyways, we actually went out a couple of times, and I seem to not enjoy it so much, but it was sort of a friendship. But he was really pushing, let's just put it like that, he was just really pushing to go to non-friendship. Once again, my strong sense of intuition, I thought, okay. But then he disappears. Do not hear from him. No texts, no calls, nothing. Okay. I was like, great, I'm glad I didn't give in into his pursuing, and it would be too soon anyways, because we only knew each other for a little bit. After a while, I think in about 2 weeks, I heard nothing from him. In about 2 weeks, I ran into this guy, and he's walking with his wife and two children. And it turned out that we actually lived almost in the same building. So I think his wife probably was on vacation somewhere with children, and so then she came back, and and when we passed each other when I was walking, and I was thinking how important it is for us women and for you men too to listen to your instincts. So that would be a really painful situation, if it would be more time and I would, and you would get to, into the other person like real close, you would get close and then, somebody ghosts you and then you meet them and their children and their wife or husband. That was a great lesson for me when I was 19. Um, and I was I was just honestly laughing to myself and thinking about how cruel, how people, how selfish some people could be. So it's just a reality, there are millions of stories like this, and this is by far not the most uncommon. Yeah, too many people seem to want to play the game till they are played and get offended. Exactly. I've noticed people get offended when you use their tools, the way they treat you. When you start treating people like mirroring them and treat them the way they treat you, they get offended and they tell you that you had changed. You had changed. Yes, maybe because I do the same thing you had done to me. And I'm not saying to, get engaged into this whole situation, to overdo each other, but sometimes you have to mirror the person to give them the taste of their own medicine. But even more important than that, being protective of yourself, being smart, and being logical. I want to tell you something. As women, we always, if we are into somebody, we create the most intricate excuses you can ever imagine. Oh, he's emotionally, he's hurting, he's been through so much. He just doesn't have 15 seconds to send me a message and let me know he won't not gonna be there. It's because his life is so difficult, and oh my gosh, I wish I could help him. And you know, sometimes we try to justify the ghosting and the breadcrumbing and all of those things, ignoring and being not treated well. We try to justify with all kinds of things. Once again, stories, circumstances. We try to find an excuse for the person that we love, so we can somehow push through that pain. And um, this is once again, some of us we're lucky to have parents who taught us to respect ourselves. um, when you respect yourself, you will never let anybody step all over you. But a lot of us, for example, in post-Soviet Ukraine, I there were maybe some families who teach kids self-respect and respected them. I hadn't seen very many. And it's also, when you have a good heart, it's always an issue for you. Do you forgive somebody? Do you give them a second chance? Do you justify the way they left you without explanation, or they just disappeared and left you figuring out things? um, Sometimes you feel like giving a chance because there could be a circumstance or a situation or maybe misunderstanding between people, and you feel like giving a chance. I've given chances in my life to certain people, and let me tell you, I had I made a mistake every single time I done that. Because when we give a chance to another person, we are hoping that that person is as decent. When you are giving a chance to somebody, you are hoping that they're as decent as you are. You think that they have an open heart, a clear, pure intentions, and they just made a mistake. And it does take place sometimes, but most of the time you're making a mistake when you're giving a chance somebody who didn't value you to let you know what's really going on. And here comes another question, what in people's behavior lets them, what message do you give in your behavior to people that they think that they could do that to you? That's another question that sometimes you have to um, answer honestly. If that's something that always happens, it means that there is some kind of message you're giving out subconsciously that people think it's okay. I've dealt with that only a few times, and each time it was truly insightful. And in my case, a lot of times it's actually was with friends, where you have a plan, you were going to go somewhere, maybe to attend event or take a trip, or you had some other plans, and then in the last moment the person does not show up and keeps you in air. So that was for me really a lot to figure out, and I've learned that if I want to achieve something, sometimes I have to do it by myself. Otherwise I'll never go to that conference, I'll never fly to the place, because you are attached to other people. This is probably less of a ghosting, but it's more of when people you trust let you down. It does shake your self-esteem, it does shake you and bring you pain. But one of the things, once the pain slow down and you feel better, you gotta honestly answer some questions. If you know you hadn't done anything wrong, um, then you can just keep moving and not dwell on it, but just learn the lesson. A lot of times it's just really affects people's self-esteem, because they think that if they would only have a different hairstyle that day, if they would dress differently, if they would only not send that text or do something differently, maybe that person would not ghost them. But that just that's just a waste of time, because once again, the persons that value you, even if they have to go and maybe they have to live your life, they would let you know. So basically it's on them for the most part. People you care about, you let them know about your plans. Yes, there sometimes can be unexpected stuff, it's life, but exceptions are exceptions for a reason. And maybe there is a lesson behind that. Sometimes ghosters and people who mistreat you can teach you the most valuable lesson you would never learn otherwise. You can truly sometimes realize your value and learn from that. Sometimes it's that hidden gift that you get from people when they mistreat you, and you really do some soul searching, you really reflect, and you realize, well, that it's your fault, because you have a diamond, in your heart, and you just open it to somebody who is not even, a coin made of copper. They just don't know what to how to deal with that kind of person. That happens too. That sometimes some people just cannot handle things you can offer, and they are more comfortable. um, they've never learned the manners, they've never learned the etiquette or anything like that, or self-respect. So that's just how it is. But the best, somebody wrote that the best thing is to move on. And it takes a while to sometimes to realize that, because some of us are so addicted to closures. We want closure on this, closure on that. But people who ghost, people who don't care, they don't do closures, they don't have time for you. They got what they wanted and they're no longer interested. That's another reason. So hopefully that most of us deal with people that have enough of decency to be to give respect and be respected. Somebody was saying when I said that women always know. Uh, A Banks is saying, "Yep, women always know," and older woman told me that. Yeah, guys, when you know, when ladies tell you stuff, um, they might want to get to know you better, but inside of us, we always know. So nice to see everybody, even though I didn't tell you I'm gonna be here. But more and more, you guys going to see the announcements because it's nice when a lot of people say, "I missed your live, I missed your live." So you're gonna see some of that. I got question today from some of my subscribers about the VIP club, and I just want to say, I am. You can enroll in a club if you would like to be a member, and I'll tell you more details about it. But the club is not gonna start till early spring. But we are open for members, and it's a paid club, just so you know. Um, and we're gonna have 4 to 6 weeks. We're gonna go through certain topics, through certain discussions, and you can choose which one you want to participate. So hopefully, everybody will find something good, and I also have an open space to vote because when we had the VIP club in the last 2 years, sometimes I felt that the members are from all walks of life, so it's nice to have something interesting for everybody. So more into that shortly in the early spring. But if you want to be in the inner circle, if you want to be part in the private discussions, so basically we have a video chat, and like you can see me right now, but you can see many members, and we just we just learn something together. I present something, and then everybody discuss, or sometimes a member has a valuable insight or story, and we just listening. It's been very it's been a wonderful club in terms of a lot of people made friends, and we traveled last summer. The members of the club, we traveled to Ukraine. That was really a powerful experience. It wasn't perfect, but it was a great experience overall. So yeah, we're gonna be doing these things. I just saw some messages, and guys, I want to tell you something. When you send me private messages, I can only answer that many messages a day. So don't be surprised if I answer you in a couple of days or even a week, or I do not answer you, because if you really need me, you will find me on my email, consultveronica@gmail.com. I will post it under the video. All right. So um, I have this thing. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. When I'm working and I'm focusing, I cannot be interrupted, or, answering messages or being on social media. When I have my blocks of times, I have to have 100% focus. So anyways, I hope everybody is safe and warm. Keep your standards high. Don't let people step all over you. And that very person and friend who matching your standards will appear in your life. But first, it starts with you. Thank you